Hello, welcome back to a podcast. I'm Gianni Winchurch, and with me I've got
Alex Wallace.
And today we're going to be in the face of
The Mirror. Yes, so we're going to be talking about a little bit to do with weight and people who struggle with being maybe a bit too skinny, maybe a bit too big, and people who struggle with both with themselves and in society overall.
exactly weight management, maybe body or a few little things here and there. We're just going to be talking. We're going to go over a few little topics, nothing too much detail. We just want to.
And first, we'd like to point out directly that we're not going to be directly criticising people who are overweight.
Exactly.
It's more focusing on the idea of it being essentially what we perceive it as almost like a mental illness.
Yeah.
We see it as sort of like a mental illness. People who maybe over or undereat, there's normally an underlying trauma there. We're not physically critiquing people who are overweight. We're just saying that there is quite a large amount of people.
We're just raising awareness.
Yeah, who I think struggle with it. And it's something that I've struggled with in the past. I've definitely done it from overeating. I'm not sure if you have.
I struggled with my weight quite a lot a few years ago. So undereating quite a lot. It's very, very skinny.
Two opposite ends of the scale.
Exactly. So we've got a couple of stories we could share it up with later on. But
Let's start off by defining it. Let's define what we perceive to be as obesity.
Yeah, what do we mean?
So when we say like obese, I would say that somebody who maybe uses overeating as a way of dealing with trauma, or maybe undereating. I mean, obviously there's a lot of different ways that we could categorize undereating, but specifically talking about maybe overeating.
Yeah.
It's sort of in a way that we look at the best way I would say to describe it is it's a way of managing trauma. I've done it in the past when I was younger. I struggled with eating disorder. I just ate too much. Yeah, I was eating all the time, and it becomes a habit, and it becomes a habit that is really difficult to get out of.
Yeah.
Because losing weight and doing more exercise can be very difficult, because it can be really difficult to put yourself forward into really changing. I mean, I struggled for years, I think. And it was something that I've only really just come to grips with now, and having a good relationship with the food in itself, because I spent years and then even went overeating and then went to undereating because I was so scared of it. And it's having that healthy balance that I think that would hopefully.
And how did you find that balance?
I found it through, I originally found it through training. It's obviously starting to train, but that led me to undereating. Not intentionally. I just, I obviously cut my diet down, but then I was doing so much exercise that my body couldn't take it anymore. I ended up becoming too skinny. And then I had to almost force feed myself to be able to cope with, my body just naturally adapted to how much food I was eating. Yeah. And then I struggled to eat more, even though my body was going, I need more. Yeah. And I think it was a bit of a struggle, but I think I finally have now.
Found a balance.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's a really good thing to be able to talk about, because I understand that a lot of people, it's almost a taboo subject.
It is, yeah, and it's interesting. So thank you for sharing the story, Alex. With myself during COVID, I was locked away in a home with my ex-partner at the time, and in that time, lockdown was going on, COVID was kicking off, no one was going anywhere. I wasn't the person I am now, and I was in a very different place back then, a very dark place. And in that time, I found comfort in junk food. So with that, I spent a lot of money, on McDonald's, Burger King, all that sort of stuff, because that's the only stuff. That's the only thing that made me feel happy, right? And it's interesting how these organizations, how they pull you in, and it's really true, especially when you fall into that trap of you have a McDonald's once, or maybe you have it twice in a week, and it's so easy then to just go back because you're familiar and it tastes good, it gives you that dopamine, but then you feel horrible after.
Does it taste good? I mean, I think people buy it because they know it's crap. I mean, they go, oh, it's not the nicest food in the world, but you know
how it's going to make you feel at the end, right? It's good, you know how you're going to feel. When you eat a McDonald's, that it might not taste
Chinese,
or a Chinese or an Indian, any of these like ultra processed foods, right? It doesn't taste great, and if you do, you're probably lying to yourself. But you're going to feel good whilst you consume it.
Yeah. And then it's even like the level of salt in it, like McDonald's, and especially McDonald's and KFC, the salt content in the food is through the roof. Yeah. It's a very westernized thing to have so much salt in your food, I think. And it can be really difficult. When it comes to UPFs,
ultra-processed foods.
Ultra-processed foods. They're addictive because of the speed in which they send carbohydrates and fats through your gut. Yeah. According to the research, more quickly the brain is affected by these foods, and they almost become addictive. And that's where all of these especially places like McDonald's, they market it to create these addictions. And you know what? The best way to do it is they start them off when they're young. They market to children. McDonald's,
everyone, families. families.
Yeah, families going in, getting Happy Meals. It's marketed towards children. You start them off when they're younger and you get them addicted for life.
Well, that's it. And then, you've got these families now that are hooked on McDonald's. But look at the way society is moving. They have, quote unquote, unrealistic body expectations. What's unrealistic about having a nice beach summer bod? We've now got, in the world, we've now got magazines which showcase obese models. And plus,
just to say, we're not saying that there's anything wrong.
Nothing wrong with this. No, of course not.
But I think maybe the issue is that in these magazines, a lot of them they've went with the extremes. All of the models are very obese or very skinny.
Yeah,
they're not showing a realistic body type almost. What do you think?
In some of them, there's definitely a lot of the ends of each spectrum. You get a lot of that. I think the way the world is moving, how, organic foods are becoming more expensive, less people understand how. I know, so we've got the internet and it's supposed to be, you can do anything. People are becoming more lazy. If you can make something simple for someone, they're going to do it. If you have junk food, which releases the dopamine sensors in your brain,
and it gets sent right to your door,
and you got Uber Eats and Deliveroo, Just Eat, all the. Don't worry, we're not sponsored. But
trust me when we say these people are not sponsoring us.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. But
also, when you don't have to leave your house, it comes into question. When it comes to things like, you're actually physically not leaving, you're not going out into the world. And for people who are unhappy, they're giving you a service to stay unhappy with, because a lot of people will struggle with things.
Well, then they struggle with the way they look at themselves. This is another reason why we titled it In the Face of the Mirror. There's
looking at yourself.
Looking at yourself, but what do you see? Sometimes you look at yourself and you're miserable, but you're so deep in this pit, you don't know when you want to start change, right?
Some people just don't know how as well. I mean, it can be a difficult thing to start. It took me years. I'm 22 and I've only just started now. I started when I was 21.
It's a very good age to start.
Yeah, started when I was 21, and you know what? I'll be doing it the rest of my life.
And it's a game changer for any of you out there who are feeling that way. You're feeling trapped or isolated, and maybe you feel like you're alone on this journey. Maybe you turn to junk food for comfort. It might not just be junk food; it could be anything. Your go-to favorite snack that makes you feel good in those times. It's being able to look at it and saying, "No, you do not control my life." Right, and it's being able to make a change. You look at yourself in the mirror. You want to be proud of what you look at, right? You don't want to be
sitting there and going, I would like to do something, but I can't, or maybe I don't know how. Anyone who doesn't know how, I think the best way to do it is actually, as much as I don't like the web for a lot of reasons, it promotes very unrealistic body types. It also has a lot of information into helping you start your nutrition.
Exactly. There's so much information.
So much for you to do. The best thing is just explore. I mean, it can be scary at the start, and it can be hard, and you will make mistakes. I made loads. But you know what? Eventually, if you want something enough, you're going to get it.
Exactly.
Like I said on our first episode, determination.
It can be really hard to find out what that thing is, but if you're in this place now and you're already thinking, something needs to change, you're already doing the right thing.
Step one.
That's step one. And when we were talking about having unrealistic body expectations and social media showcasing these two ends of the spectrum, and you see these really hot models, have been photoshopped or, under really good lighting, gym pumps, all the stuff.
It's a very controlled environment.
It's very that's not how they look the majority of the time.
As somebody who is a photographer themselves, I can tell you it's very, very easy to change how somebody looks, to improve certain aspects of them on Photoshop. For somebody who uses Lightroom, Photoshop, I can make anyone. You can make anyone look beautiful. And you know what? By pumping these unrealistic body types, I think that it really, really ruins a lot of young people. And maybe focusing on young people, the future. I know that, to be fair, we were the first generation to really grow up with social media.
Yeah.
And it has done wonders.
Yeah.
To bring us into the new world.
Yeah.
But it has also got people so fixated on trying to achieve it that they're willing to lie about their own form.
Yeah.
In order to portray a part of themselves that isn't true.
Exactly. Yeah. I think as well, you say this new generation, doing some research online, we like to have a look at multiple sources before talking about our podcast, just to make, we like to fact check our
to
stuff.
give you all the best, most up-to-date information.
A lot of
all you IGFOers.
A lot of studies have found that, there's a massive rise these days, and I'm sure you guys are aware of this as well. You may be feeling this way, but studies have found that the more people compare their physical appearance to those that they follow on social media, and the more likely their experience body dissatisfaction. I can't English today. Dissatisfaction. So, some responders even reported that body image concerns that made them want to lose weight after exposure to certain social media accounts. But these normally go into the extremes. This is where we talk about our eating disorders. So whether you say overeat or undereat, let's say there's a really skinny individual, a young teenager or a young child or even a young adult, and they're easily influenced by what they see online by these content creators that they look up to.
Yeah.
They give off a good energy. They want to be like this person, but they're not really sure how to do it. And then they get misled with false information where they could possibly...
Directly from the influencers?
It could be just surrounding content.
Content as well, whatever. Because there's so much content on there. Yeah.
There's so much misinformation. And, you hear that old phrase of, don't trust everything you read on the internet, but it's really true. even if you really trust.
That's the understatement of this century.
And the thing is, everyone knows this, and don't trust Wikipedia and all this other stuff. We all know this, but the amount of people you think you can trust online, but they're just, and this is the saddest truth, they're just there to make a profit and to use you to make money. And
they have done. And you know what? The amount of people who make money out of it, it's insane. But thinking about it in the other light, as opposed to looking at, because body dysmorphia is something that we will be talking about in our next episodes, guys, number 5.
Yeah, number 5.
Today we're going to be focusing a little bit more on the other side and the idea of overeating.
Yeah.
So looking specifically at the idea of like obesity and the rate that it's climbing, or being generalized.
26% of adults in the UK reported at the end of last year in the UK classified as obese.
1/4.
So a quarter of the population
people are classed as obese. Now, in terms of, that's what the NHS.
And also, this is off of BMI. So this is off recorded in BMI. I know it's
technically the BMI isn't really true. It isn't the best way to judge it, but it is an average.
Yeah.
And it is still classified as a certain way of being overweight. Because the pre-obese rate was 38%. 38% of adults in the UK are overweight.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that's quite a lot. And this not overweight isn't unhealthy. But it leads to it. I find it can have a role on
being overweight. It's not, for some people, it's a lifestyle. It's the start of something that could become devastating, because you cross over a line, I think, and then it's the make or break point. It's do I continue to keep going this way and allow my poor addiction with food to control my life or make me miserable?
People don't see it as an addiction. I think it's been generalized, isn't it?
Yeah.
This idea of fat shaming. And then this idea of you can't be fat shaming.
Woke culture. You can't say anything.
I do support woke culture in a lot of what it says, but I think in some ways it comes to a detriment because it generalizes a lot of things. Like, you shouldn't be shaming people for being fat. We should be trying to help them. Yes. But at the same time, it is then generalized being fat, which means that therefore people who are struggling are now not then trying to do something about it. We should be trying to help people who are overweight.
There's a line, and I'm sorry for any of you out there who disagree with this, but I strongly believe that for some individuals who are obese and they just get sugar-coated, I'm going to use that word, sugar-coated, that it's okay to be obese. It's not okay to be, I was about to swear there. It's not okay to...
Swearing on a podcast?
No. It's not okay to be obese, because what you're doing is you're killing yourself. You're making yourself more miserable, and you're going... There's so many negatives that come with being obese. You hate the way you look. You might not be able to do physical activity like anyone else. Your breathing goes off. Your life expectancy shortens. You get chance of heart disease, cancer. There's just so many.
Let's look at it in a different way.
Well, yeah.
As opposed to all of the downsides about it, which are obviously very true and are very serious, which unfortunately it is quite serious.
This is why we put you in the face.
This is why we're in the face of it today, because you tell you what, we do not agree with it at all. No. What we are here to do it in the face of is try and see if there's anyone who is struggling and to try and help them.
Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, your age comes into factor.
Right.
Like a lot of this age-related obesity, 3/4 of 45 to 74-year-olds are overweight. And a lot of that is lack of activity. People get, life expectancy is extended.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people
your
struggle
body changes after 45 as well. Your metabolism isn't quite the same anymore.
Sometimes it's unhelpable. Sometimes sometimes it just happens.
Sometimes it does just happen.
It just happens.
Health
what we're focusing on is people that we can help.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah, it's things like the younger generation, the new, the kids who are growing up with being marketed all of this crap online. Yeah. This is what we're trying to fight against at ITF.
Exactly. And it's only increasing. The rates of obesity just continue to skyrocket each year. I think we started pre-COVID, it was something down like 20%. Now we're on 26, which is a quarter of the population, and that's recorded obese. You've then got nearly 10% of 4 to 5-year-old children, and 23.4% of 10 to 11-year-olds are obese now.
And that's an obscenely high.
It's high.
Obscenely. Now, a lot of kids are just a little bit bigger when they're younger. A lot of kids get out of it. Sometimes it just happens. But a lot of the time, as well as being that, it is to do with bad diet. It is bad diet.
And also bad parenting.
Yeah, it's the bad, it's bad influences.
It's the environment.
Yeah, and sometimes even school. I remember being at school. My school dinners were terribly bad. There was nothing healthy about them. There's nothing good. And, there's people like Jamie Oliver who are trying to do something about it. But I tell you what, most meals are microwave meals. It is processed. It might be healthy. It might have vegetables in it. But it is, hands down, processed food. And that is what kids are being pumped to at school, where they're supposed to be being nurtured, which fortunately isn't the case.
Yeah, not all the time. Unless you've got loads of money to fork out to send your kid to private school.
Oh, yeah, private. I don't believe in private school. I think state-owned schooling, I think we should be trusting in this. And we should be able to trust in our state enough that we shouldn't have to pay for our kids for a good education.
Yeah.
But back on the real topics. Trying to maybe not go off topic here.
No, 100%. I think we've covered a lot of the information.
A lot of stuff today. Yeah, it's all good stuff.
You've got, again, I was talking earlier a little bit about the unrealistic body expectation. Or realistic. What does it mean to have unrealistic body type?
Unrealistic body type. Is it too large, too small? And I think a lot of them, the way it's pumped out is that it is. If you walk in front of, let's say, Victoria's Secret, right, and you walk in front of it, and it is in a shopping mall, kids walk in front of this. They are plus size. They have, and as well, photographs of incredibly skinny girls and incredibly large girls. Yeah. There's no in between. There's no real normal. There's no. Yeah. But it's not saying, because there's no such thing as a normal body, but there is a healthy body type.
But why is the world moving in this direction? Because why would I understand? Oh, well, I know why. They're making money off people that fall for this. Yeah. They're making money off weak people who don't have.
You can still look as beautiful as this model, and be overweight.
Yeah,
and we're not saying that people who are overweight are ugly. No, not at all. That was we would never say anything like that. What we're trying to do is promote the idea that these companies are trying to make money off you, and realistically, right, the real beauty for people comes from you. Yeah, it comes from you. It comes from you as a person, and your body is a reflection of you as that person, and anyone who is struggling might be struggling for a reason, and what they need is help, not to be just pumped with just crap from social media, which is ultimately going to make them worse.
I know, but then also, with this, when people are overeating, and obviously they could have a huge stem of issues behind the scenes, anxiety, depression, they might not be doing well at work, they might not be doing well at school, they might have issues with friends and family. There's always a core root problem that leads into this. I don't think there's anyone really that I've ever met or spoken to that obesity is the main root, or overeating is the main root. It's normally there's surrounding factors that makes them want to overeat because it makes them feel good,
rather than challenging the fact,
or rather than actually facing the problem.
Yeah, a lot of people, it can be, but it can be difficult.
Yeah,
people who overly use social media, who overly go out shopping, and they overly see all of these things. It's sensory overload, and they feel it can make them so depressed that it could be too difficult to start doing something about it, even if they wanted to. I know I felt like that for years.
Yeah,
and I say that from experience.
Where do I start? I've got this idea in my mind. Oh, I'm sick and tired of being this certain way. I'm sick and tired of being 120 kilos or whatever, and I've got not a single bit of muscle on me, and I'm really sad. Where do I begin? How do I do it? Help! But there's nowhere to go because they go on the internet and they might see something online, might get bombarded with a load of information by one person. Oh, that's a good idea. See something completely different the next day, get overwhelmed maybe, might set some triggers, they're back on it.
Yeah. And it can be difficult to start new habits. I mean, we've struggled before.
Oh, yeah.
We've struggled. And I tell you what, we're saying all this from experience, and it's why we're so passionate about it.
Yeah.
We don't want to see people who are struggling. To anyone who is struggling, to anyone who would like to do something about it, our best advice is utilize the web. Get rid of all of the overuse of social media and all of the bad things here, right? And utilize what you can out of it. Do as much research as possible, and you can start to do something about it. Yeah. We've done something about it. I struggled with it massively. And I'll tell you what, it takes time. I'm not going to lie to you. It's hard.
It takes a lot of time. And there's another thing as well. Humans by nature, they see something, they want it now. And they, again, comparisons with models and other things, they see these people and why don't I look like that? Why don't I have D-cut breasts, or why don't I have this physique like Superman?
Because you don't realise that when you lose fat as a woman off your body, you will lose it off your breasts.
No, just
Like
all the surrounding things, you know.
These unrealistic body types that say, like, if you're skinny, you're going to be curvy, you're going to have this, you're gonna
Yeah,
have
but
this.
it's not. No, you might not. And, you know, again, Photoshop, they make people want to look this way, warps your image. There's just so many things that play into it. But at the end of the day, you need to do what makes you happy. And if you want to change, you can do it. And you're not alone. We've both done it. We're both living proof that it can be done. And you can also do it. There are people out there that can help you. And I know you probably hear that a lot. But they do and they will help you. And if you don't want anyone else to help you, you don't know how to, use the internet, like Alex was saying. Find the tools that you need just to start. The fact that you've got this thought in your brain that you want to make a change now is the start to something that could, you know, change your life forever. And and that's so important. And the only person you should ever compare yourself to is not these models you see online, is the person you were yesterday, right?
Or the person you want to be.
Exactly, and just focus on who that person is, and you'll be able to achieve anything.
And then you know what? And all of a sudden, when you start thinking like that, it comes quicker than you think.
Oh, it really does. Time flies very quickly. When you truly connect yourself to something, especially when it comes to being overweight or underweight, and you want to be a certain size,
you will get there.
You will get there, and you'll enjoy it too because you know that you're going to look that way.
Fully connected.
Yeah, sure what you want.
I know. Amazing. Honestly. Is it? Yeah. Is this? Well, I tell you what, guys. I tell you what. It's been a really good episode. I think we talked quite. I think we put a lot into 20 minutes.
We have.
I think that is the end of it today. I think on just on an offhand note, there, guys. I tell you what. Me and Gio did something amazing the other day, and it's something that we really want to promote on ITF. We are now registered blood donors.
Oh yeah, we are.
A woman come to the gym and she was promoting donating blood to the NHS. Now, obviously, it's not a paid service or anything like that. We found out that less than 3% of the UK population are donating blood, and it's something that needs because it's something that can save as many lives as possible.
Yeah.
Now, in all honesty, the reason why a lot of people don't do it is because they maybe drink a lot or they maybe smoke cannabis. And the woman said to us, it doesn't matter whether you drink or you smoke.
No.
Right? As long as you haven't done anything in 24 hours, you are eligible to be a blood donor.
Yeah.
And it's something that can save so many lives.
And it's not as, I know, I'm terrified of needles and I'm terrified of blood. And honestly, it's not as bad as you may think it to be. It's actually quite a lot of fun.
It's actually,
they're so lovely.
It's an amazing environment and you get loads of snacks after.
Oh, you get so many.
Everyone sits around and you can sit and have crack with everyone. It's an amazing time. And they will take 470 milliliters of blood. It is nothing.
It's not.
Right? It's not even a pint. Right? And you know what? That can go to save up to 3 people's lives.
They told me, they were like, your blood's going to 3 people, and they also tell you who they're going to go to.
I know, and it's something that's amazing, and I would encourage anyone within Great Britain to do it today. You can sign up, you can get it done, because I tell you what, it is, for somebody who, I would love to be able to work with charities. I would love to be able to donate to charities.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, currently, until I can get the money to do it, I physically can't donate that money.
So this is the only way.
So, but when you think of it in perspective,
yeah.
When you take out what you're losing and think about what they're getting, they're literally getting life. It's 10 times the amount of money that you could be donating.
Exactly.
And that, if it can save, a child's life, would you not do it? So even for people who are scared of needles, it is really not as bad as it sounds.
Really not.
And I tell you what, for anyone who would love to do it, all you need to do is download the NHS Give Blood app and you can sign up straight away.
Yeah.
Thank you there, guys. And I tell you what, good evening and good night.
Yeah, have a wonderful evening, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, whenever you're listening to this. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.